Over the years, I've been photographing hula dancers, and specifically the hula kahiko, the ancient hula. I studied fine art from the time I was a small child until I was a junior in college. And what happened is by the time I got to be a junior, my teachers figured out that I was colorblind. And they told me if I didn't change my major, I'd end up being a starving artist. So what I did is I thought that advertising and graphic art was kind of related to art. And so I changed my major and I moved up to Northern California, studied advertising. I got a degree in advertising. But then my brother was here in Hawaii, and he said, come on here and come over here and check it out. When I moved to Hawaii, I got a job at a radio station. I was a disc jockey at Kahili and Kailua, that's Crater now. I worked at a magazine called Island Monthly. I worked at an ad agency with a guy named Pat Patterson, and then I started my own agency in downtown Honolulu, and I had an agency for 10 years, and I made television commercials and did all that kind of stuff. And I really, really wanted to get back into art and painting and drawing. So what I did is I picked up a camera and I started photographing the hula dancers that I was going to use for sketches and paintings, because you can't stop a dancer in the middle of a spin or a turn and then here, you do that again 20 times while I paint this. So I would work from the photographs and I would paint and draw the images of the dancers that I was photographing. Specifically the hula kahiko, the ancient hula that passes down the history and the culture of the early Hawaiian people. It was actually banned for probably 50 or 60 years when the missionaries came in and they wanted them to, cover themselves up and stop speaking the language, stop doing the dance. They wanted to totally cut off the Hawaiian culture and I guess civilize everybody that lived here. So back in the 70s, probably around 78 or 79, there was a whole renaissance of people coming back out with the hula kahiko, or the ancient hula, and performing it. And the first time I saw it, I was just blown away by it. I mean, that was the kind of hula that I was looking for. When I first moved here, the Awana hula, or the modern hula, is done to music and in ball gowns and dresses and that kind of stuff. And it's kind of Victorian minuet kind of a time period. And I thought, boy, there's something just really missing. I don't know what's wrong with the hula here, but it's not what my fantasy or what I'd heard or what I'd read about. And then one day I was over at Iolani Palace, and there was a kumu hula named Frank Hewitt. And he brought out his dancers and they did this chant and this dance that just still today, it gives me goosebumps, chicken skin to just even think about the way they performed. They were so strong and the energy was so beautiful and so amazing that I just got hooked on it. And once I saw that, then I just focused all of my creative efforts and all of my time on trying to find and work with those kind of dancers. For about 3 years, I did research in the Bishop Museum, or the Raise Your Own Baker collection in the Bishop Museum is all Raise Your Own Baker's old photographs. And it's some of the first cameras that came into Hawaii. And they had pictures of the early hula dancers, but they were all standing really stiff because the film was so slow they couldn't move or dance. So my idea, or what I wanted to create, was to have the dancer actually moving and dancing, but in that older hula kahiko style. So what I would do a lot of times is slow my film speed down so it looked a little bit blurry. And I did it in a sepia, a brown tone, because I wanted to look old. And I wanted to take people back to an earlier time when they were dancing that style of hula that actually did pass down the culture and the wisdom of the early Hawaiians. My goal is not to make a lot of money and not to, it's not about money, it's not about material success. For me, I want to be in a museum 200 years from now. I want people to look at my stuff and go in a museum after we're all gone and you know, and look at it and go, wow, you know, this is like really amazing. This is like what, you know, what was going on back then. This is what, you know, the dancers were doing. And that's why I think I like the images that really kind of give you an emotional connection, where you look at it, and not all of the images do that with everybody, but if I'm doing a show, if at least one or two pictures kind of grab people and they can connect with it and have like an experience or at least an emotion with it, that's what I look for in my artwork. And for me to be able to do that a couple hundred years from now, after, you know, in a museum, is basically my goal. Houses and cars and all that stuff are nice, but I want to be history. I want us to all be history.